We begin the news at this hour in Abuja, where the Senate has commenced a two-day public hearing on the proposed tax reform bills. The opening session brought together leaders from the nation's economic and financial sectors, including the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, the Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, Zach Adedeji, the Group CEO of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, the NNPCL, Mele Kyari. Now, as the public hearing enters the second day, the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, is calling on Nigerians to also participate in the public debate. News Central's National Assembly correspondent, Sagir Ibrahim, reports.
In attendance are federal lawmakers, government officials and experts at this public hearing in Abuja. The hearing is an opportunity to deliberate on Nigeria's four major tax bills: the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Fund Bill, Nigerian Revenue Services Bill, Nigerian Tax Administration Bill, and the Nigerian Tax Bill. In his keynote address, the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, says that the critical role of tax reforms is improving revenue generation, economic stability, and national development. He urged Nigerians to read the full transcript of the bill to enable them make informed inputs and conclusions on its objectives.
At the end of what we are doing, it will be easy for you to pay tax whether you like it or not. And also, we will now oversight government to make sure that whatever revenue comes into the purse of government is well utilized.
We will be guided in our deliberations, in our processes, with the tenet that integrity and fairness will be part of our guiding principles here.
Following his remarks, different government ministries, departments and agencies provided insights into how the reforms could enhance Nigeria's fiscal policies and drive economic growth.
As the economy grows, so we must arrive at, we must modernize our tax laws, enhance compliance, broaden the tax base, and create an environment that fosters investment and job creation.
I believe that this will enhance stability in the Nigerian economy. However, one area that we feel that this committee will address is the area of VAT distribution to subnationals.
Stakeholders from non-governmental organizations, the private sector, civil society organizations, among others, also contributed to the hearing. Some raised concerns about the potential impact of the tax bills on businesses and individuals.
Most Nigerians will not be required to pay personal income tax. But then there's a proposal to increase the VAT across time. And so you see that it's like giving with one hand and taking away with another hand, because these Nigerians who have been exempted from tax will still need to buy things that has tax imputed on them and will increase the cost of products and so on.
As deliberations continue, the focus remains on whether these reforms will ease tax burdens or impose further financial strains on businesses and individuals. Now, while the hearing continues on Tuesday, Nigerians are watching closely to see how these policies will shape the country's economic future. In Abuja for News Central, I'm Sagir Ibrahim.
Earlier on, Professor Sherifuddin Teller, a professor of economics at Babcock University, joined and shared his perspectives on the bill. Let's bring you some of his thoughts.
The point at which you start paying tax is very high. The level, when we are talking of the grade level and all those things, you find that the level is very, very low. So most of those states, particularly states in the north, even in everywhere except Lagos, like I said, which has industries, and Ogun State, maybe federal capital, they may be able to generate some revenue. So they're going to be more dependent on federal government, and that is not good enough. So people should be able to pay tax at lower level so that state can generate some revenue, or else the way it is, many states will not be able to generate revenue. So they become more dependent on federal government. Except, of course, that will awaken their interest in making sure that they start looking at the resources that they have and start working on those resources to be able to generate their revenue from there.
Right.
You should be thinking of not only the revenue side, but also the expenditure side, so that we also capture what the government is doing with our money. So there should be laws to encompass that, not just about a tax, which is a revenue side. We must also be talking about how government spend the money. The issue of transparency and accountability should be part of the bill that we are considering.
That's right.
Don't come back again and say, okay, we now want to look at the other side of it. So instead of talking of a tax reform bill, which is revenue, we should be talking of fiscal policy reform bill. So I capture both expenditure and...
Now, for more on this, I'm now joined by News Central's National Assembly correspondent, Sagir Ibrahim, who will be joining us to discuss the National Assembly complex. Thank you for joining us, Sagir. Can you kindly update us on the developments at the public hearing where you currently are?
Yes, good day, Blessings. The public hearing just commenced a couple of minutes ago. So the chairman of the Senate Committee on Finance, Senator Sani Musa, had made announcements calling upon members, stakeholders, who were present to begin to make their submission. So as at the time I was in the hall, unfortunately, I couldn't stay there because of the network connectivity. I know that they are taking submissions from the Christian Association of Nigeria, as well as the National Islamic Council. Members from the Kano State government were also making, their plea. But the contention here is to ensure that Nigerians have a full understanding of what the tax reform aims to do. You would recall that at the commencement of the hearing on Monday, the Senate President had mentioned that it is important and imperative upon Nigerians, to study these tax reforms, to know what they are, condemning or criticizing or critiquing, as the case may be, and to really understand it before going out to make, decisions that might not even be informed based on the content of this bill. So the essence of the public hearing is to ensure that the larger majority of society, represented by various stakeholders, groups, organizations, and the likes, come before, the National Assembly in a public hearing to give their submissions on areas, clauses, paragraphs, and also lines in the reform bill that they may not be comfortable with. We're hoping that today, it would be able, the committee would be able to conclude, these hearings and, of course, continue with the work on considering the bill and also report back to the Senate, in time to ensure that it is passed.
All right, thank you so much, Sagir Ibrahim. The public hearing is still on and the stakeholders are still deliberating on the legislation, so we'll definitely circle back to you to give us more updates as time goes on. Thank you once again.
Oli, thank you for having me.
A pleasure. Now, still on National Assembly matters, Nigerian Senate President Godswill Akpabio is facing intense backlash for his alleged mistreatment of Senator Natasha Akpoti, who was reportedly ordered to leave the Senate chambers last week. The incident has sparked widespread outrage, with advocates for gender inclusion, including the Voices for Inclusion and Equity for Women, VIEW, condemning Akpabio's action. Now, VIEW is demanding accountability from the Senate President, emphasizing the importance of treating female lawmakers with dignity and respect. The organization is pushing for systemic change to eradicate gender-based intimidation in the Senate and foster a culture that welcomes and supports women's voices in governance. This incident has also drawn criticism from over 300 women groups who are calling for an unconditional apology from Senator Akpabio. They argue these actions reflect a deeper systemic issue of gender discrimination and verbal harassment in Nigeria's political institutions. And let's go over to the Lagos State House of Assembly matters, where we understand that the prolonged speakership crisis may soon be resolved following intervention by senior leaders of the All Progressives Congress. Now, reports say that both Mudashiru Obasa, who was removed as Speaker last month, and the current Speaker, Mojisola Miranda, could step aside to allow a neutral lawmaker to assume leadership. The latest development follows the involvement of top APC figures, including the former governors Bisi Akande, Segun Oshoba, and Akinwumi Ambode. Their intervention comes at the directive of President Bola Tinubu after earlier efforts by the Governance Advisory Council failed to resolve the dispute. The crisis erupted on 13th of January 2025 when 36 lawmakers voted to remove Obasa, installing his then-deputy, Miranda, in his place. Obasa, who was in Atlanta at the time, rejected his removal insisting that he remains the rightful speaker. Now, however, his colleagues remain resolute in their decision. For more on this, I'm now joined by a political analyst, Taiwo Olopade. Taiwo, thank you so much for joining us live in the studio here in Lagos, Nigeria.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you join us. Now, I mean, this whole thing has been going on for a while, and I'm sure there's been a lot of reactions, some who are, in support of, the fights going on, and some who are strongly behind Miranda. Do you see a truce happening soon in the Lagos State Assembly leadership?
Well, this is a very tough question, but I'll make every possible means to answer your question. The fact remains, just like you said, Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa was removed by more than 2/3 majority members of the Lagos State House of Assembly on that very day, January 13th. Just like you said, it was also away, in Atlanta, USA, why this removal took place right in the chambers of the Lagos State House of Assembly. And we should also remember the fact that the way assembly it is structured, either state or national assembly, is one among equal, meaning that every member of the House is eligible to become either the Speaker of the Assembly or even as the Senate President, as the case may be, is one among equal. Because we should also remember that when all these legislators are first elected, nobody was elected as a Speaker. They were all elected based on the mandate given to them by their constituents. So they found themselves within the Alo chamber. Of course, there must be leadership. And that's the reason why we used to have the leadership and the principal officers of the assembly. So in this case, Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa was removed, and the removal followed due process by all standards. Number one, it took place within the eyes of the public. It took place within the Alo chamber of the Lagos State House of Assembly. Members of the assembly were present. Not that they brought in people from, it wasn't a case of people were brought in to carry out this exercise. And also, the symbol of the house, which is the mace, was also present when this removal was done. And let's also remember that this same House of Assembly, not too long ago, before the crisis of Basa, also passed a vote of confidence in him. So it's a matter of the House, you can be Speaker in the morning, and comes afternoon or evening, you can be removed. So there's no speciality or, there's no speciality, so to say, in you becoming the Speaker or being removed when your members felt like, oh, it is time for you to step aside and have a new leadership. But now come to the issue of this move to also remove the current Speaker, Right Honorable Mojisola Meranda. We should also remember that before the House went on synodai, that means indefinite, suspension of sitting, the House, this same House, majority were present, and they passed a vote of confidence in the leadership of Right Honorable Mojisola Meranda, who happens to be the first in history of Lagos State, the first female Speaker. And people are wondering what exactly is the reason why maybe the leadership of the party did not want to allow this woman to serve as the Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly. Remember that she was Deputy Speaker before she got this promotion to become the Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly. And there has been so much of a controversy, so much of body language. The president doesn't want her. At the point, they also mentioned the name of the First Lady, but I'm happy that both the leadership of the House of Assembly and the leadership of the party also clear the names of the First Lady and even the President. But suddenly again, we also hear And you know, in every rumor, there's always element of doubt that the president is also not comfortable with this arrangement that the governor of the state is from the Lagos Central, and by political convenience that they should have the speaker, the deputy governor, and you know, all those the leadership shouldn't come from almost the same zone within the Lagos setting. The governor is from Lagos Central, so by providence now, the speaker also from I think I'm more of thereabouts is also Apapa is also from Lagos Central. So for political convenience, they are looking for a speaker that will come from where the former speaker, right on the Mudashiro, but who was removed, you know, comes from. And they are looking towards, from report that we have heard, I think the name of Honorable David Shotenji, who is from Badagry. I think he tops the list of the likely speaker of the Lagos State of Assembly. But the point remains that, are we going to ask the current speaker to step aside, and stepping aside under what condition?
Thank you for. I'm glad that you made that point, because my next question would have been, we are hearing that there's a possibility of that, of bringing in a neutral leader, but what is the rationale really? Is there a justification for asking her to step down? She already has majority of the support, including a vote of confidence.
That's exactly where I'm heading to, and let me just also quickly run that your question. At the bottom line is, she enjoys the mandate of overwhelming majority of members of the Lagos State House of Assembly. And you can see that within the little period that she has emerged, the speaker, you have seen so many solidarity visits, so many groups also endorsing, even at the point, the GAC members, that's the Governor Advisory Council, also endorsed her leadership. The leadership of the party across board also endorsed. And you can also see reactions from even those who are also not members of the ruling APC in Lagos State, making assertion that this woman should be allowed to stay. At worst, or at most rather, she will complete the tenure of the speaker that was removed, maybe in the next 1 year or 1 year, few months thereabout. Why don't we allow this woman and to also be in record that at the point we also had the first female speaker in the Lagos State House of Assembly. And I want to go back to history, if you permit me quickly, that this is not the first time that we have speaker removed in the Lagos State House of Assembly, and heaven did not fall. So the question remains, why the removal of Obasa is causing hula baloo, quagmire, and distortion in the political setting of Lagos State.
All right, Mr. Alokpade, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your thoughts on this. This is a very interesting one, and we're looking to see, because it's also had a lot of interesting turns. We're looking to see how this turns out at the end of the day, and I'm sure that whatever action comes next will at least debunk some of the rumors, especially the fact that, they claim that the president is in on it and things like that. But thank you so much for joining us to discuss this.
Thank you so much for having me.
A pleasure. We go on a short break now, and when we come back, more stories. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, petroleum marketers are warning of an imminent fuel crisis in Lagos and other states, citing the harassment of tanker drivers by Lagos State government officials. Over 30 tankers were seized and towed from the Dangote Refinery Road, raising fears of a fuel shortage. The marketers have vowed to shut down operations across the southwest if the detained tankers are not released. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Association of Liquefied Petroleum Gas Marketers has warned that the imposition of illegal levies on petroleum trucks could trigger a nationwide cooking gas shortage. In protest, tanker drivers have stopped loading fuel, creating a backlog and heightening concerns over supply disruptions. The drivers have refused to load fuel since Saturday, fearing further harassment and arrests by government task forces. Now, the personal assistant to the late Chief MKO Abiola, Wale Fashakin, has joined other Nigerians in criticizing former military head of state, General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, over his recent book launch. Now, speaking with journalists on Monday, Fashakin said IBB's apology and admission regarding his role in the June 12th struggle had only reopened old wounds. However, he questioned the relevance of the gesture to present-day Nigeria. Meanwhile, a group of legal practitioners under the banner of the League of Patriotic Lawyers is demanding the prosecution of IBB and his allies. The group condemned what it described as a glaring case of double standards, arguing that while lawyer Dele Farotimi's book criticizing the judiciary allegedly led to police incarceration, IBB's admission of complicity in grave crimes had instead earned him millions in sales and praise from the political elite. Now, earlier on, we were joined by the president of the League of Patriotic Lawyers, Barrister Abubakar Yusufu. Let's bring you his perspectives.
In criminal law, time does not run against the state. This question of trying to get, when it jettison a democratically elected man by the entire country in June 12th, we can still punish him. It's not only treasonable, it is indeed treason, properly so-called. And IBB can be tried and jailed. And those who were there, I think it's unfortunate that you see that was an assemblage of John Donny, and they have also added dimension to this new call. They are also complicit in trying to stamp this book on our faces. We reject it, and we ask that it should be withdrawn. And no right thinking Nigeria should buy that book because it is full of fraud, it's full of mental somersault, and it does not tell you 1/10 of what happened in June 12th. So it is subhuman in Constitution.
Now, the presidency has dismissed claims that former military president Ibrahim Babangida was among those who persecuted President Bola Tinubu during Nigeria's military era. Now, Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, made the clarification in response to remarks by former Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. Speaking at the launch of Babangida's autobiography, A Journey in Service in Abuja, Osinbajo had light-hearted suggestions or suggested that Tinubu, once a target of military repression, was now celebrating one of his former adversaries. However, Ononuga rejected the claim, insisting that Babangida was not Tinubu's tormentor, but a key influence on his political trajectory. Now, former Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Godwin Emefiele has filed a motion requesting Justice Rahman Oshodi's recusal from his ongoing trial at the Lagos State Special Offences Court in Ikeja. Emefiele's legal team, led by Olalekan Ojo San, accused the judge of bias and urged him to withdraw from the case. The request was made during Monday's hearing, where Emefiele faces 19 charges brought by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, including abuse of office, receiving gratification, and corrupt demands. In response, Justice Oshodi adjourned the case until 26 February 2025, when he will rule on the recusal request and other pending applications. Now, the United Nations Children Fund has disclosed plans to reduce workforce and travels as part of measures to mitigate the effect of the cut of USAID funding by the Trump administration. News Central's Umoru Kira reports that the UNICEF Regional Director for West and Central Africa, Gil Spanian, made the disclosure during an assessment visit to some of the organization's ongoing programs at the Hajj camp in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital. The regional director said UNICEF is working closely with various governments in Africa to see how they can collaborate and mitigate the effect of the funding cut by the President Donald Trump-led administration. Now, the community of Owerri Ezukala in Irumbu South local government area of Anambra State has been thrown into mourning and anger following the alleged extrajudicial killing of 3 people reported to be innocent workers by the Agune Chamber security outfit, a government-backed security squad. The slain victims are identified as Malachi Chimaobi Iwayawu and Odinkalu Chinonso from Mweze 1, Ehime Mbanu, Imo State, and Kosiso Chukwu from Isiofwa, Governor Chukwuma Soludo's hometown, were reportedly on site for a church building project when they were gunned down. The security operatives allegedly labeled them as unknown gunmen, a term commonly used for criminals and insurgents in that region. News Central Special Correspondent on Investigative Journalism, who is currently on ground on an assessment exercise of the security situation in the state, met up with the bereaved family of one of the victims.
This online video shows the body of Malachi Chimaobi Iwayawu, Odenkalu Chinonso, and Kosisochukwu Okoye, lying dead after being shot by men of the Agone Chamber Security Squad on the 6th of February 2025. The victims were handy men working on a church building project at Owerri-Zukala, Orumba South local government area of Anambra State, when they were extrajudiciously killed and labeled as unknown gunmen. Community members who knew these men and the work they were doing at the community described the workers as innocent.
This is the compound of late Marcel Okoye, whose son was one of 3 men that were gunned down in the Orumba South local government of Anambra State on the 6th of February by the Agone Chamber Security Forces. We're here to follow up on that incident. Their bodies were left littered on the road at where they were gunned down, and you had members of the public who were outraged by the killing of these men.
On the fateful day, February 6th, 2025, I went to a program with my mother. While coming back in the evening around 6 o'clock, I heard the news that my brother was killed by Udogache stroke Agone Chamber group at Owerri-Zukala, where he went to work. So I said that is not possible, it's not true. So around 6:30 to 7, I confirmed that my brother was killed. That is true when I saw the picture where he was murdered.
How did you know that it was the Udogache and Agone Chamber men that killed your brother?
Yeah, how I know is that the video went viral when they killed my brother, and they went ahead to the Agwata Secretariat, my local government, Agwata Secretariat. They were jubilating, they killed unknown gunmen, every other thing. So as I'm watching the video, I saw the material where my brother was using to walk, where they were jubilating something like a cylinder, generator, and this wedding machine they were using. And I saw those men, they were jubilating, and I was asking, who are those people? And they were confirmed that they are Udogache and the Agone Chamber joint force.
Daniel, a blogger and a member of the community, laments the activities of the security force put together by the Anambra State Governor, Professor Charles Soludo, meant to augment the capacity and services of the Nigerian police in the state in the fight against crime.
The question I keep asking myself is, what is exactly going on in Anambra State in particular right now? Like, I'm very, very angry about what is really going on in the state. You get this insecurity we have in Anambra State. I keep asking myself, when is it going to end? Like, I don't just understand why our governor, Soludo, will create security apparatus where we say they're supposed to save us now, and then they take our life. Now that one, they shock me. You cannot tell me that they will arrest you. The next thing they will ask you is for bail. They ask governor himself, did the governor give them right to arrest people and collect bail from them? And the bail money is not a small money. These guys are inside church, Catholic church at Owerri-Zukala, working. Not that the guy is a Yahoo boy, not that the boy is into kidnapping. You just go, you kill, and you still not even think about how the family will be feeling about it. Tiling work, ties. They were laying ties in the church where they went to. And the other ones, we are doing stainless rail. The guy in particular, we are doing stainless this thing. But other people were into tiling. And they take out their lives. And the governor is not doing anything about it. His own town, his own hometown.
In recent times, there have been escalating reports making the rounds on social media, stressing how these new security forces operate, intimidating, harassing, and extorting the citizens of the state. It is expected that the governor of the state will move to caution his men, with hopes of getting them back in line to carry out the job according to the description and purposes for which they were originally constituted. For News Central, Marshall Anthony Onoya.
The Edo State Police Command has confirmed 2 more deaths in the ongoing violent clash between cocoa farmers and suspected produce thieves in Belemoti, OVS Southwest Local Government area, bringing the total number of casualties to 7. The violence, which erupted on Thursday night, escalated on Friday morning when sympathizers of the initial victims launched a reprisal attack. State Police Public Relations Officer Moses Yamo, in a Monday statement, said the number of injured victims has risen to 6, all receiving treatment at the undisclosed hospital, up from the 4 reported on Sunday. Meanwhile, Edo State Commissioner of Police Betty Otimeyi has promised to fully investigate the incident, urging communities to seek lawful ways to resolve disputes rather than resorting to violence. The Nigerian Defense Academy has urged residents of Afaka, Kauya, and Mando in Kaduna State to steer clear of its open range as it conducts a scheduled live fire training exercise. In a statement on Tuesday, the NDA's Public Relations Officer, Major Mohammed Maidawa, announced that the exercise would run from February 26 to March 1st. The training is part of the Advanced Application of Fire package of Army cadets of the 72 regular course. Maidawa emphasized that the exercise will involve live weapons fire and is crucial for the cadets' combat training. He urged civilians to avoid restricted areas to prevent accidents and ensure a smooth operation. And now, corpses suspected to be victims of the Carlton Channel 1 flow station explosion have been found floating in the water 5 days after the incident. The NNPCL had in a statement said there were no casualties recorded, but residents of Iloma Toru, a community in close proximity to the flow station, are saying otherwise. News Central's Bola Festus reports.
It's been 5 days after a massive explosion rocked the Cotton Channel 1 flow station. News Central's crew arrived in Iloma Toru, a community with the closest proximity to the oil field, to get the views of locals. Sadly, some of their folks who had gone fishing around the flow station at the time of the incident are yet to return home to them.
There's some people from this place go to that place to go and fetch water. Then the process, the boat sank because of fear and the fire. So as the boat sank, some people from this community go to that place to go and fetch them. They don't see them. Some of the women, then, some of them lost their baby. Because you cannot keep your baby because of water. You carry it along. At least we need breastfeeding, you give out the breastfeeding. Some of them love their husband. Some of them love their canoe. But you are used to canoe to do the business, making our finance.
Well, a lot of persons died. Till now, we are not able to give account of everybody. Till today, now as I'm talking to you, some persons are still missing. Then those persons on the vessel that got exploded, till now, there is no record about them.
Shortly after our arrival, news of corpses with bones floating ashore filtered in from a neighboring settlement.
As I'm talking to you here now, information that is reaching us now is that 2 corpses has floated on the river. Very soon, we have asked people to go and snap them and send to us.
Locals lamented that the accidents have cost them their livelihoods and put their health at risk.
Our boat and net, everything got burnt. Sake of this fire incident, my husband is in the hospital right now as we are speaking. It is around that Cotton Channel 1 where the fire burned, where he used to lay his net, there he used to fish.
The smell of the crude oil is affecting the people that are still around here. Some persons have been taken to hospital.
Cotton Channel Flow Station is the largest oil field within Oil Mining Lease 18, which is currently managed by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL. In a viral social media video of the incident, rescue workers could be heard lamenting possible casualties. Meanwhile, a release by the NNPCL stated that no casualties were recorded and that the incident had no impact on operations of the flow station. Residents of Ilomatori community are, however, calling for an investigation into the cause of the explosion, as well as an urgent remediation plan.
For we to preserve our problem, so we need government or NLP to help us here, because no way for we to survive here.
OML 18 was previously managed by a consortium made up of Shell Petroleum Development Company, Total and Ajib. In 2015, Aeroton acquired 45% of the OML but was sacked in 2023, with NNPCL taking full control of the oil block. There are speculations that persisting accidents at the OML 18 block may not be unconnected to divestment of decayed facilities by previous operators to the NNPCL. In Bonny, for News Central, Bola Festus.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, Libya and Somalia have pledged to deepen economic and security cooperation following high-level talks in Tripoli. A chairman of the Libyan Presidential Council, Mohamed El Menfi, reaffirmed Libya's commitment to supporting Somalia's path to stability. Now, Somali President Hassan Mohamud expressed confidence in achieving significant progress through strengthened collaboration. Both nations are set to enhance security, trade and investment partnerships, a move seen as key to fostering regional stability and countering external influences.
لا يقتصر فقط على ما تم التعاون عليه اليوم أو على ما تم التوقيع عليه اليوم، حيث سيشمل مجالات الاستثمار والتعاون في مجالات التدريب والتعليم. نجدد ونؤكد على التعاون المشترك ما بين البلدين وعلى دعمنا للصومال حتى تستقر في المجالات الأمنية والسياسية والاقتصادية، وكذلك نعول على أشقاء في الصومال على دعم الاستقرار.
We explored ways to strengthen our cooperation in key areas including security, trade and infrastructure development. Somalia and Libya are jointly cooperating together to invest mutual interest projects and infrastructure. We are going to establish a joint high-level committee that will work together for the development of our mutual interest, economic interest.
Now, Mauritanian prosecutors are pushing for a harsher sentence for former President Mohamed Ould Abdelaziz, urging an appeals court to increase his prison term from 5 to 20 years. Aziz was convicted in 2023 for abusing his position to amass an estimated $70 million fortune during his presidency from 2008 to 2019. Prosecutors accuse him of turning the presidency into a hub for blackmailing investors and have called for the dissolution of Rama, a charity founded by his son, over alleged illicit activities. Aziz has denied all charges, and his legal team is set to present their defense. The former president remains in custody, having been detained since his trial began in January 2023. Now to stories outside the African continent. French President Emmanuel Macron has welcomed his American counterpart Donald Trump's efforts to engage Russia over Ukraine, but insists an agreement must come with strong security guarantees. Now, speaking at a joint news conference at the White House, Macron warned against a fragile peace deal, citing Europe's past experience with Russian President Vladimir Putin. He recalled that Putin had previously violated a peace agreement due to the absence of clear security guarantees. Macron also suggested the possibility of sending French troops to Ukraine, but emphasized that such a move would require U.S. support to maintain credibility.
Mais pas un accord qui soit fragile. Et le fait qu'il y ait des Européens qui soient prêts à s'engager pour apporter leur réponse à ces garanties de sécurité, et qu'il y ait une clarté maintenant du message américain sur le fait que les États-Unis d'Amérique, comme alliés, étaient prêts à apporter justement un soutien, une solidarité à cette approche, est pour moi un tournant. Et plus largement, nous sommes engagés conscients que nous sommes que les Européens doivent encore faire davantage pour la sécurité de l'Europe, sa défense, et en quelque sorte un partage plus juste du fardeau sécuritaire que votre pays porte depuis plusieurs années. Et au fond, pas simplement, Monsieur le Président, vous savez l'amitié que je vous porte parce que vous le demandez, vous le demandiez déjà avec force à votre premier mandat, mais parce que je crois que tout le monde maintenant en Europe est lucide sur le fait que c'est notre devoir pour nous-mêmes, en tant qu'Européens, compte tenu du risque qui nous entoure et de la responsabilité qui est la nôtre.
My meeting with President Macron today was another important step forward in that sphere because he's been very much involved right from the beginning in trying to get it over with, and we're going to get it done. I believe that Emmanuel agrees with me on many of the most important issues. Chief among them is this is the right time. It may be the only time. You know, that's a very interesting and horrible situation, and that could evolve into a